Good evening, everybody. My name is Julia Kotziamani, and I am the founder and program lead of Hastings Arts School. We're an accessible arts program based in Hastings. Are you from Hastings, or are you from somewhere further afield? No. Okay. That's great. Um,
Further afield.
Further afield. Dan, I think you're on mute. I can see you talking, but don't worry. I got from your that you're not from Hastings. So that's fine. We also offer our program online, so we'll focus on that a little bit. So I just think before we get started, let's think about these questions. What prevents you from being where you want to be with your art practice at the moment? So that we can kind of have that in mind as we go through, and then you can really see if the school is something that's going to work for you at this point in your career. And what do you want from an art school at this point in your career? Why now? Why is now the time to kind of put this at the center of your mind, or at least have it on a kind of serious back burner? Yeah, kind of thinking about what it is that we want now. You can type, yeah, go ahead, type away, and I will keep a little eye on that chat as well. There's loads of reasons that people might want to join our program. It's for artists at all stages. We've got people who are fairly new to creativity, fairly new to their making, and then other people who are kind of post grad and have been professional artists for years. And I think there really is something for you wherever you are on that journey. So just kind of keep those there. Here are our core values. Again, this does feel very professional, and probably more professional than our weekly meetings, which are always quite fun and free flowing. But these are kind of the reasons that we started. This is what we kind of keep in focus with all of the things that we do. So we're affordable. Our programs are about 10%-ish of the nearest competitor that isn't fully funded. So there are some fully funded programs. They're usually quite selective, and then they have their own problems. But we are as affordable as we can possibly make ourselves, comparative to other kind of postgrad programs. We're flexible, so whatever cohort you join, you can hop about. So you can go to any group in the week that you want to. So even if you're in an evening group, you can jump to an afternoon group if that's kind of supportive to one week. You can drop out for time in between terms. We have 3 terms, but you can take as long as you like between those terms, so you're not committed to a full year up front. And we really wanted to keep it high quality. So we regularly review our curriculum, we get loads of feedback from our artists, and we try and make sure that it is a really generous and supportive program that touches on loads of different things that you'll need during your career as an artist. So those are the 3 kind of core tenets. Yeah, why did we start? So we started in March last year, the end of March. So we've just had our first birthday. And we basically started because I found it really, really hard when I was doing my MFA. I went to Goldsmiths, and I was a single mum living on universal credit here in Hastings, and it was almost impossible. And I mean that in that I didn't have enough money to make my art after the kind of train fare. I didn't have any time to get to know my cohort because I was traveling all the time, and I was working pretty much full time. I was trying to do 2 postgrads at the same time with my teacher training. And I just thought, this is ridiculous. They're so inaccessible. It's so hard to make this work around any kind of, most people have a job or kids or some other responsibility. And it felt like that kind of level of gatekeeping meant that so many amazing artists weren't kind of getting access to really high quality education. So that's initially why we started. And then because there was such a kind of big rush of artists when we first opened, it's really kind of developed hugely over the year. We've run more than 50 events and shows at this point, and we've had nearly 100 artists kind of join us at various stages. So it turns out that people wanted something a little bit more flexible and affordable, that could fit in, like really fit in around life, not just kind of say it was supportive to that and then offer nothing tangible. So what do we offer? Our core program is a 30-week program, and it's delivered in 3 terms. So each of those terms is 10 weeks. The next term starts at the end of May. So I guess that's kind of the one that you may be thinking about joining, but we also have intake in September and probably February next year. January felt close to Christmas. It felt like it like walked all over my Christmas break. So we'll probably start at the beginning of February next year. But so we'd like to have 3 intakes a year. And as I said before, you can join, you have to do them in order, but if you joined term 1 in May, you wouldn't be obligated to join term 2 straight away in September. You could wait until February or whatever kind of worked for your schedule. We also offer one-to-one tutorials. You can book those just via our website, but you do get one as part of the program. So those are just standalone things if you just wanted some kind of mentorship. If you were developing a portfolio or you had something specific you wanted to look at, you can book more of those if you need them. We do sell art. We have a gallery space in a local shopping centre, and we are developing. It was up and it wasn't great, and so we've taken it down again, and then we're going to rejig it. But we also are going to sell art via our website, but we do sell it in our exhibition space. Not everyone wants to sell their art, but lots of people do. So that is an option if that's for you. We also offer kind of bespoke career development and agency practice. So we've had quite a few people who have kind of worked in collaboration and wanted to present things for various opportunities, to interior designers, kind of bespoke portfolio development, tailored things for residencies, or we've had somebody who's gone on to the RA and they needed a kind of, you know, application package for that. So we do that as well, and we do loads and loads of open calls. So if you are part of the school, we kind of consider you always part of the school. So you would be invited to show with us. We probably do 1 a month-ish, of public-facing exhibitions, either at our gallery or at other local galleries. We have got our first digital cohort have just finished their first term, so we're also branching into kind of digital exhibitions as well with them. Just going to check this chat. Yeah, you can definitely message me after the talk. You will have my email. What I'll do is I'll send a copy of this out to you so you can revisit it, and just a little follow-up email. So yeah, for sure, go ahead. So the program, as I said, we have an in-person one here in Hastings and also an online one. That was like the first ever digital cohort started in January. So that was a bit of a baptism by fire, but it worked so well. So I feel really confident that we can keep running those. We've kind of ironed out the kinks of how do you crit properly online, how do you do any kind of collaborative work, how are we showing things, and actually that group became, you know, one of my favorites to run, and I think they pretty much all re-signed up. So I guess that's a good a good litmus test that it does work online. So the in real life ones are Tuesday afternoons, 12 till 2, and Thursday evenings. And the digital ones are Thursday afternoon or Thursday morning, afternoon-ish, and Saturdays. I'm just gonna, I want to check this. I'm not entirely sure that they are 10 to 12. You can find out on our website. I'll make sure that that's right. So in term 1, I take some photos of our poor artists, like without sometimes. They've all given me consent, but sometimes you get people looking off into the distance. So term 1 is all about exploring, expanding, and challenging your existing practice. So it really meets you where you are. So you might be somebody who is fairly new and is still kind of working out your voice and and what it is that you're up to, or you might be someone who's worked extensively for several decades in a particular way. So wherever you are at, it meets you there, and it challenges the way that you do things. I think it's really, really normal for all of us to kind of get into patterns and habits and ways that we approach it. And some of those can be really supportive, and some of those can limit us in certain ways. So it supports you to widen your outlook, helps you to contextualize your work, to see where you kind of fit in the art world as it stands, or where you might want to kind of branch out into, which can be really useful if you're speaking or writing about your practice in any way. Silent crits. So we do lots of different types of crits. Oh, is that somebody wanting to ask a question? Maybe not. Okay, so we do lots of different types of crit, and in term one, we do something called silent crits, where you don't contribute to them. You put your work up, you kind of introduce it, and then we talk about it and you listen. So that is a really kind of good practice to see if your work matches your intentions and to hear what it's kind of doing, without you kind of having to support it and seeing if you might need to in other ways. So it's focused on finding out what you're exploring in your work and why, and challenges you to try things a different way. And it is very much on the basis of we're playing, we're finding out and failing and retrying and burning everything to the ground and picking it back up again, or, you know, just gently trying a new avenue. So then in term two, it's all about kind of refining that voice that we talk about a lot in term one and communicating it. So it's creating some kind of coherency and style, or the way that you present your work, or some way that people can kind of see you in everything that you do. Challenges you to kind of refine your themes and materials and make sure that they're doing everything that you need them to do. Deepens your understanding of your practice. And in this term, we develop and deliver a public-facing show or event. In term one, you do a group show. Usually that's in our gallery space or online. So you're working, you know, everyone's got a completely different practice. It's like a curation nightmare, but we get to it, and we do a group show. In term two, you would do something solo. So that's pulling together some kind of show or event. Not everybody does a kind of big public facing exhibition, but you do have the chance to do that if that's something that you want to do. And it focuses on making your work make sense to other people. So communicating what it is that you're up to. And we start to look there at the kind of business of art. So is everything kind of connecting properly, so that if people go to my website or my social media, or they talk to me, are they going to understand what it is that I'm doing? We look at that a bit more in term three. So yeah, then finally in term three, it's about your next steps kind of out there in the real world. So supporting applications and future plans, we kind of get, I feel like one of the big problems with a kind of traditional art school is that you get all this support and then suddenly it finishes and you're sort of left alone and not usually with many tools for kind of what to do next, unless you have been excellent at networking and have all those things in place. But for lots of us, it was just suddenly like, oh, finish. So I really wanted to build in something that was more supportive to an onward journey. So hopefully by the end of term three, you'll have everything you need for a long-term future with your practice or your career. And it helps to build your confidence to work outside the program. So everybody at that point will have done some kind of show, they will have done several public facing things, and they will have written, spoken about their work. Most of them will have a kind of website developed, and will be kind of clear about what it is that they want to do next. We do public facing shows, workshops, and social media support. And it's very much focused on your own journey as an artist, and all the components that you need. So those groups are a little bit smaller typically. I keep them down to sort of 6 to 8 as opposed to kind of 10. We also have a mentorship scheme. So you'd be matched one-to-one with somebody who is an artist or art adjacent. who could really support you, and they're matched in a bespoke way. So it'll either be something kind of thematic or material, or they're doing your dream career, you know, some way in which they relate to your practice. So they're matched up with you, and you have usually a couple of hours with them. But some of those mentorships have gone really, really well, and everyone's like firm friends, and they continue to see each other really regularly. So those are kind of a really key component of term 3. And then after the program, you're also not dropped off the edge of a cliff. We have a review group, so we run a monthly crit club, so you can still bring work in and get feedback on it, which is great because that's the thing that we hate most at art school, but then realized that it was really quite important. You're also part of this broader network of artists. We have a WhatsApp group. I'm not in it, so I don't know what happens there, but people get lifts and materials, but I think also support each other with residencies and things like that. And there's, yeah, as I say, nearly 100 of you at this point. So that's a kind of really rich resource, getting bigger all the time. You're always a member of Hastings Arts School, so we'll always invite you when we're doing open calls. You're always welcome to get in touch. We'll always share your shows and anything else you want us to put in newsletters or anything like that. There's opportunity for teaching because as we grow, we've already got another 2 tutors actually that are starting with us in May, but it has been me up until this point. But there is more scope for teaching. Those can be practical things. You know, we're running more and more hands-on kind of practical workshops or teaching the program. We've also got 12 studios that are coming next year. So loads of opportunities for different teaching things and mentoring if you want to take another artist under your wing and you feel like you can support them. And as I mentioned earlier, those agency services. So you can still book in tutorials and get support for kind of portfolio development and things like that. So hopefully you leave, but you don't really leave. So the basic structure, the 10 weeks are divided kind of thematically, looking at your practice from loads of different lenses, viewpoints. There's a lot of kind of self-reflection. Everyone's working kind of in their own way. So you'll approach that how you approach it. And it's all built around kind of peer-to-peer learning. So those groups are really, really mixed, both in terms of materials that you're using and kind of where you are, whether you're newer or whether you've been making art forever. And that kind of peer learning environment is really important. So we have a weekly seminar, usually lasts about an hour, where people kind of talk about what it is that came up for them that week. And then we have, everyone does 2 crits in each term. So over the course of the 10 weeks, you'll bring something twice. And that can be something in development, it can be a kind of an idea even, or a plan, or it can be finished work, either finished work recently or older things that you kind of want to revisit. In terms 1 and 2, they're those silent crits, and then in term 3 we do a research crit, so that's thinking about the kind of context behind your work, and an installation crit, so that's looking at curation and pulling objects together next to each other and thinking about how they would kind of appear in space. We have 1-to-1 tutorial with me or another tutor, and each term there is some kind of public exhibition. So that just kind of gives you a sense of it is full on. And I think it is probably more full on than is doable in 10 weeks. The aim is to kind of, you're like a snake and we're going to feed you an elephant, and you can kind of take too much in and then take some time to digest it. But yeah, you're fully supported throughout all those things. So you're not kind of having to do lots every day. These are some of our facilities. So we have a library of books that is about 3,000-ish books big at the moment, kind of about all sorts of art, art history, art theory, practical manuals, kind of philosophy, psychology, anything that we kind of think might be useful for you. If you are not local, that's still totally fine. We can send books out to you, and you kind of, I hope, will still have kind of as full access to that as you possibly can. We're hoping to start scanning some of those in, so they'll be digital as well. But yeah, so that's a really cool resource. And this is our gallery space. We have this is where we run our in-person seminars and also where we host public exhibitions. It's a pretty standard white cube. It's not white at the moment, it's green, but and we regularly kind of turn it round. It's quite flexible. It's like 3 walls and a big door. But it's slightly weird because it is in a shopping centre. So we get a kind of very interesting and diverse crowd come through. And some of them are like, what the hell are you doing? And others come in and say hello. But that's been brilliant. And hopefully we will continue to have that going forward. Just check this chat box. Don't worry at all. I will send you a recording version. Okay, so as I said, we had our first ever digital cohort. So you can join us anywhere. At the moment we use Zoom, which is okay. I don't think it's the best thing we could possibly use. So we are in the process of uprooting and updating that digital platform to see if there is a better way of running those online. So if you're someone who's into that, like, please give me a shout. So it's absolutely the same program, the same content, and the same opportunities. It was really important to me that that digital group had all of the same access to everything. So it's not a watered down version, it's the same. You can do digital and in real life exhibitions. We've had people send us work. If you're someone who wants to show in one of our shows, but it's not easy for you to get there, you get postal access to the library, and you're still invited to our communities and things like that. We've had some amazing things happen. Artists have come from all over the country and have stayed with other artists on the program and got involved in everything kind of in person here as well. So yeah, it's been great to meet artists from outside our small town. And because you have arrived this evening, you get a little special a little treat for joining our Sunday evening open evening. So you get £30 off any of the term 1 cohorts, and that reduces the whole price down to £215 per term. And it's only available to you because you're here. You use that code open30, which I'll pop you a follow-up email with that in. So you can either take a note now or you can wait for that, but you just put that at the checkout and it should take you off. That money should just come straight off. And this feels like a lot, doesn't it? Anyway. So that's sort of it, I think. So if you have any questions, do shout. And we've got some time for them because, yeah, we've breezed through it. You can.
I'm not sure if I missed a minute or two at the beginning, or had you not started before I arrived?
I think we hadn't quite started. I think maybe
cool.
You joined, maybe you missed a minute or so off the beginning.
Oh, right. I have a few questions, but I sort of don't want to sort of hold the whole thing. So is there any way that I can sort of message you them or privately or?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, just send me an email.
I just don't want to sort of take centre stage over the group. So yeah.
That's okay. You are a pretty small group. So don't worry too much. I'm gonna I don't know how to unshare my screen. That feels beyond me. Pause share. If I take this off, then you can see we're a pretty small crew. So do ask questions. I mean, your questions might be exactly the questions that other people have too. So fire away.
I'm personally somebody who's I'm from London. I did my degree in my MA in pencil drawing. Did it sort of my MA about 10 years ago, so quite a long time ago. And I moved to Hastings 2 months ago. So I'm totally new to the city, totally new to whatever. And sitting here right now in my studio with my drawing board on in my new house, and I came across your link on I think Hastings creative website or something. And what appealed to me was the thought of having a lot of external sort of feedback and sort of just conversation about ideas and sort of process and things like that. Because I think like many artists, I sort of feel I can, just with how much I try not to, I can sort of get a bit sort of stumble a bit with sort of thoughts and sort of direction, but still, I mean, I draw every day, whatever else happens. But it can be quite challenging to sort of not just forget everything else that goes with, the drawing as well. And so, would joining the course, would that sort of mm, mm, would that sort of put me in a situation where there would be dialogue, there would sort of be uh yeah, that kind of thing. I mean, I didn't really appreciate it when I was at art school, like sort of 20 years ago, because I was just too immature then. And now I sort of need sort of, I wish I wasn't so mature, but I guess the young are kind of stupid at times. Um, I mean, I mean, is joining your course sort of something that I would be sort of thrust into a sort of dialogue and sort of communication with about ideas and sort of directions to go in?
Yeah. Yes, I
Cool.
think
Yeah.
like, yeah, that is the vast majority of what we do. So we do in the core program, there's no practical tuition. So there wouldn't be kind of this is how you shade, though
Yeah,
some might
yeah,
point out if your shading was a bit
yeah,
off.
yeah.
So it's a kind of a supportive, professional, but kind of challenging critical environment.
Cool, cool, cool.
They become quite close knit and quite fun. But there is at the center of it, yeah, we talk about art basically. So we talk about
Cool, cool.
your
Brilliant.
practice and other people's. So yeah, absolutely, that's it,
Cool.
exactly what we do.
Well, sign me up now then. No, no. Yeah. Yeah, that's really a sort of the main sort of thing I feel I personally need at the moment and have been lacking for quite a long time. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what we do. So
Cool,
yeah,
cool, cool.
anybody
That's
else?
fine.
Or like, or do you have any other questions? That's also fine.
Probably, but not sort of not directly at the moment. Maybe. I mean, if I mean what I'm sure you don't want is we got your email address and we just sort of fire all questions to you sort of like a week's time or whatever. So I mean, I know you don't want that, I'm sure, but will there be if there's a question which I've forgotten and it comes to me tomorrow or something, can I sort of ask it then? Or
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Very welcome. I'm just going to check the chat box to see if any more questions have there. How many students do you normally have for the physical and online courses? Okay, so I'll answer your other one as well. So I limit the physical ones to about 9. We have had a group of 12 once just because the only time they could do was the evening one, but that was I think slightly bigger than is super supportive. So we normally on average have about 9 or 10. And we have had as small as I think 6 or 7, yeah, and as big as 12. So that's kind of they're a smallish group, but enough kind of heads and voices in the room that you get a kind of good mix of opinions and feedback. Similar with the digital ones. I think I've capped them out at 15 just because Zoom is slightly easier to manage than a kind of physical number of people in the space. But yeah, we had 10 in our last digital group, and that worked really, really well. That kind of works perfectly because it means that we don't have to have many weeks where we have 3 crits because we do 2 crits each week after week 1. So yeah, eight is about perfect. And do your in-person artists tend to live near Hastings or do they commute? Some and some. We have only recently started the digital group, so until then everyone commuted, and we had people that came from London just to kind of do the program, and they came once a week. but that was, I think, the furthest afield. We've got a few artists from Eastbourne, Lewis, all the way over to Brighton. But since we've had the digital one, we've had artists from across the whole country, all the way up to Glasgow. So yeah, we have had some people commute and stay with other artists in the town. We, lots of our artists have a spare room that they're very willing to lend out to you. But lots of them are also Hastings based, as you can imagine. So close-ish. Hope that answers that.
So also, will there be, and again, I might miss this, but will there be, I know it was broken down into sort of, I didn't quite understand the 10 weeks breakdown. Could you go over that again?
Yeah, so each term is 10 weeks. So there are 3 terms in the whole program. So I just ran through term 1, term 2, term 3, but in each of those terms, each week has a different topic. I can't remember like off the top of my head all of them because that's 30, but I think that, in term 1 we look at all sorts of things. We look at your material practice, we look at curation, we look at kind of intention, inspiration, we look at kind of critical feedback, contextualizing things,
Wow,
kind of where
wonderful.
you sit in the art world, all kinds of different sort of ways of challenging it. Some of them are a little bit kind of more resilience building, I guess. So thinking about things like ego, perfectionism, the things that can kind of stop you or trip you up, and others are very much more kind of practically based, like art writing or things like that.
Can I ask, related to that, if
Yeah.
so if to start in the May intake, what term is that? Like what point are you joining in the
Oh, that's tough. So sorry, I don't think I explained it very well. But in May, September, and February, we have term 1 intakes. So you can join
Okay.
term 1 at any of those points. So
Oh, got it.
in May will be term 1, but we'll also have 2s and 3s starting then.
At the
And
same
then
time.
yeah,
Okay, cool.
so
Oh,
we kind
okay,
of
I understand.
stagger it. So we've always got all 3 groups running.
Yeah, got it.
Oh,
Yeah, because I think I'd be joining online because I'm over like towards Oxford, in between Oxford and sort of Bristol. So yeah, so no, that's great, thank you. And yeah, just really great to know more of the detail and understand a bit more of how it runs. And also the connection in, like, I've been on an online program before, which was really great actually, and done really well. But it was quite different in focus. It was more about I guess your art as your career. So it wasn't your practice. It was much more focused on all of the stuff that no one teaches you in art school, like, legal stuff, contracts, like
Really useful
yeah,
stuff.
all really useful. Yeah, but very different. So and this is, yeah, I mean, I work in a part-time job and I have a daughter, and just trying to find something that actually is affordable and fits with life is pretty challenging. So that was why this was appealing. So thank you for going through the detail.
Oh no, that's great. I mean, I feel like you're, literally my target customer. I had a baby last year as well, so I kind of
Oh wow, intense.
felt like this needed double downing on this because it feels very vital at particular kind of stages of life.
Yeah.
There's another thing in the chat. We'll just have a look. Is once a week enough for a London doing the physical tour? Yeah, so we have had people do that. So we've had people come down once a week. There's no disadvantage. All the crits happen. We only meet once a week. So we would only meet physically once a week, and then we do the first half of the session is kind of the seminar, and then the second half is the crits. So unless you had a particular train that you had to catch, you wouldn't be at a disadvantage at all because most of it is kind of self-study during the week. So you would do that whenever works for you. And so as long as you could make that kind of 1-2 hour session a week, you would be exactly where everyone else is. Cool. So anyone else got any questions?
Yes, sorry, me again. I missed the the um the nasty side of the, well, not nasty for you or others, but the unpleasant bit of the money side of things. Where do we find out about the actual cost?
So the actual cost each term is £245, but you get the £30 off for coming in.
Not
So
nasty to you at all, really. No.
yeah, I mean, I meant affordable, I think.
Yes, I always hear that, and it's like, that's not affordable. No.
No, I know. I don't mean like terps affordable, like no shade, but like, you know, actually affordable.
Yeah,
So, like,
yeah.
yeah, like it's a piece of activism for me. But
Right. Right, good.
we can also do payment plans. I've had people come to each group with tenors. It's not ideal for me because I have to make lots of trips to the bank with notes. That makes me look a bit shady. But yeah, you can do payment plans if you want to. We have people do it in 3. I am on our website. We've got PayPal, so you can pay in 3 on there as well. They just do that for you. Yeah. So that's the not so nasty money side of things.
No, not at all. No, it's
Can
quite shocking.
I ask another money related question?
Yeah, go.
Which is when do you need paying as well? Like when does it start, the May term, and when's the sort of booking?
So it's like the last week of May. So depending on which group you're in, it's kind of the end of May. You can sign up from now until I guess the day before. There is a kind of welcome email that you would have to digest quite quickly if you sign up. But we have had people sign up on the morning, and that's
Okay.
so yeah, there's no cut off, and unless we fill. So we have had to
Yeah, sure.
away just because the group is full, and I don't want to kind of push them too big.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Cool.
no
Thank
obligation, you know, immediately.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, no,
Cool. Someone said they agree about terps. It was not a particular. We do have some incredible mentors who are also mentors on terps. So we work closely with them. They have an off-site program here in Hastings, which I'm told is very good. Definitely they have great mentors and tutors. But yeah, a stretch on the affordable front, I think, for lots of us.
I
Yeah.
just messaging the message. Sorry, 1 second.
I'm going to drop off if that's all right, Julia.
Yeah,
but thank you so much. This was so helpful. Yeah, I'll look into more of the detail and be in touch. So
yeah,
thanks so much.
There's more on the website, and feel free to ask any more questions in email.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
How affordable?
It is, sorry to sound so pessimistic and sort of whatever, but I mean, where how does, how you're sort of selling it sounds phenomenal to sort of anybody who sort of is in a sort of tricky sort of head state about their artwork, and sort of, and to hear the, you know, I'm certainly not knocking the price, but I mean, sort of to hear how realistic, sort of affordable it is sort of where, it does make me sort of neurotic that there is like something I'm missing or something.
Big catch. Well, so I don't think there is, but essentially it is a bit of a one-man band, so my overheads are incredibly low.
Right.
And my kind of aim with it was that it was genuinely affordable, because I think you know, I know people have got to eat, and if you have kind of large studios that you've got to run, and you've got other, you know, if you're an art course in another institution, that's got a kind of big overhead. So I try and keep it really low. I mean, I try and pay the artists that work for us a reasonable salary as well, but yeah, it is just
great, cool.
That's kind of what I worked out we could turn profit on. So,
great. Yeah, cool. I'm certainly not knocking it from my side. Like,
I mean, other things like we're not accredited, so you don't get a qualification at the end. That severs our overheads hugely, you know, because those things are very expensive to run. So yeah, you won't get more qualified on paper.
Oh my god, no. Yes, no. No. So I won't walk down the sort of the corridor collecting my certificate then. No.
You can have a T-shirt that says this is all I got.
You're right.
But yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. So what is the next stage for somebody who's really keen to start?
Well, you can just sign up online. That is as simple as it is, and then I get notified that you've signed up. I put you into your cohort, and then you get your welcome email come out, and we see each other in May.
Right. And so I just log on to. Will you send a link to that an email or?
Yeah, I'll put a booking link in that email as well.
Lovely, fantastic,
Cool.
cool, brilliant. Thank you.
All right.
Lovely.
So if we don't have any more questions, we can all go off and enjoy your Sunday evening.
Yes. Cool.
All
Thank you.
right. Lovely to
Cheers.
meet you.
Thank you. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.